Welcome to Randomizer, where we last left off.
I ain't waiting around.
Leading our expedition into Act 2 is Priestess Gut, who, after being fed up with absolute rule, has marched down to the Shadow-Cursed lands to get revenge for the massacre of the Goblin Camp. This is a continuation of last Randomizer video if you want to check that out, and if you're interested in the mods you can find them in the description. But back to the video, we don't have to walk far to meet another one of our brethren. Thanks to our transformation, it doesn't take a lot of convincing that we're the true soul in need of escort. Unfortunately, we never did manage to get our hands on Minthara's lyre, so I guess the jig is up. Let's get a small glimpse into what's to come, that being enlargements, polymorphs, and random busted spells. Oh, did I mention summons are random too? And can come in a variety of elite variants, like Blazing, which leaves a trail of hellfire and does bonus fire damage. Like always, it's our 14 AC rogue's job to lead the charge and tank all of the hits. As Priestess Gut, we retain all of our levels, which as a Storm Cleric means we can dish out a ton of damage. I'll need all the damage I can get, since this guy keeps summoning elementals, any of which can turn into potentially something lethal. Fortunately for us, he gets a little too cocky and aggro's Mizora, the hyena, which is actually neutral in this combat. This distracts Hero off to the side where he can waste his summons while we finish up the havoc he wrought. This guy really is a bag of tricks though, and has a lot of spell slots for someone who's supposedly level 3. But thanks to Mizora, his summons are distracted for long enough for us to break through his magics. Thanks Mizora. Sorry, but I've been wanting to do this for a long time. Well, at least we can heal up and get to safety. Unlike last time, I don't think our appearance is gonna give us the benefit of the doubt. We immediately get restrained and pray to RNGesus for salvation. Oh, thank goodness. You know, I kind of forgot the Goblin Camp got destroyed by totally not me. Mom might need to get her eye checked, though.
She's the one who protected the Emerald Grove.
Yup. Didn't leave a goblin standing.
Well, for starters, let's check the shopkeepers. Thanks to our item randomizer, they're stocked up with a random assortment of items. And from the looks of it, this one's got the short end of the stick. Whatever, we'll buy a scroll or two and head out. At least I'd like to, but I can't let down Karlach, who's been fangirling over the later Jaheira, so I guess we'll stick around for a few. Jaheira wants us to talk to Isabel about alleviating the shadow curse, so let's pay her a visit. She's all too willing to give her blessings to a goblin, and it looks like someone else wants her blessing too. Not. He wants us dead, so let's see what he's got in store for us. Well, he's a cat now, so much for your plan. Regardless of him being a cat, he still has more health than our tank Starion. Thanks, Randomizer. Now, despite our feline foe, the rest of our combat isn't too bad when it comes to transformations, though one of them randomly knows Crown of Madness, and of course it's on Karlach. In true Karlach fashion, she's off the walls. Let's pray her rage doesn't wipe my team. You know what? I'm impressed. I don't even think I can land a throw like that. Good job, Karlach. Let's just give Isabel Sanctuary to avert disaster. Well, Markath dies in short order, but the real threats are these winged horrors, especially the big ones, who's so tall he can melee attack a whole floor up. Luckily, this means the inverse is true. We can finish up the last of them and regroup. We've got a huge problem, basically. That cat we just killed was secretly an undercover spy for the Absolute at Moonrise. And before they get any bright ideas, we'll need to rush over and put an end to this cult. There's a couple errands to do around camp still, which is a minor inconvenience, but we deal with those and head straight out to Moonrise. Though there's still one last task to be done. Karnas and his absolute caravan, or lack thereof, has a lantern that we need. Karnas, or should I say Karnis? You doing okay, buddy? Yeah, he's doing good. Well, let's put him out of his misery. This lets us grab a moon lantern, which funnily enough we have one already from Act 1. Though this time around we can free Miss Dali and get some passive protection from this curse.
Finally!
Now we can head through this toll booth and off to Moonrise. We'll be revisiting this tool booth later, but for now let's go see the big man in charge. As Priestess Gut, we've sworn fealty and thusly want our revenge on Lord Enver Gortash, though the only one here right now is Ketheric Thorm, the invulnerable general. And as much as I'd like to randomly change him into something, he's not very interested in fighting me. Well, rewinding time a bit, since Minthara died, they've been taking their rage out on some of my brethren from the Goblin Camp. It really goes to show how underappreciated I was at the camp. No one here even remembers me. We'll be sure to get back at these absolute bastards. But for now, let's bide our time. They give me jurisdiction over my goblin subjects once more at least. And our numbers are far and few between these days. You all are released.
Praise the Absolute, and praise you, true soul.
Of course, Zarel, goblin hater she is, doesn't like that very much, but she can cry about that later. For now, she begrudgingly gives us a mission. Probably a suicide mission.
I have a mission for you. There is a relic that General Thorm requires. The relic is beneath the Thorm family mausoleum. That is where you will find Balthazar.
Yep, sounds like suicide. Well, anything is possible with the power of Randomizer. Let's head out into the world and see what havoc is to be wrought. And what better place than the nearby pub, home to one Fizzbald Thorm. We're a bit short to reach the countertop, so we're left with no other option than to fight. Fizzbald himself is turned into a drunken dwarf, and you might recognize this ogre from earlier. The random enemies scale with the level, though so do I, and I can deal with this encounter without much trouble. With a randomizer, the real problem comes with action economy. So long as there's more enemies than allies, it's bound to be a struggle, unless we have another raid boss fiasco. This isn't just a combat randomizer, don't forget. We've still got an item randomizer in play, and our daily spoils consist of the Orphic Ring, letting us cast Confusion once a day. And a lot of garbage, which is most of what the build is comprised of. The items are subject to change on a whim anyways due to the nature of our mods, so I wouldn't worry about them. But build-wise, if you didn't catch our last video, our team is comprised of a Storm Cleric, Wild Heart Barbarian, Thief Rogue, and Monk Cleric hybrid. So now let's see how strong they are when the numbers aren't in our favor. With our new Orphic Ring, we can limit their strength with an AoE Confusion, which in this case just ended up working like a stun. Still, we should kill them while we can, especially considering Death himself can arrive on the battlefield. With his scythe, he can reap my soul from like 20 feet away. I'm fortunate enough to tank his blow, though somehow the most intimidating thing here is the shadows still, which is more so due to their massive HP pools. Enemies with a ton of temporary hit points are going to be a recurring theme. They manage to get a good hit on Tank Starion who falls first. But no matter how much HP you have, you can always count on Karlach to one-shot you. Before we take on the other two Thorms, Malice and Garangoth, we're closing in on level 6, so let's do some neighboring combats to get enough XP. And do some window shopping for our tank. There's a massive grouping of Kuatoa in this region of the world, and despite the random transformations, they've all retained their status Drenched. And if you remember, Priestess Gut just so happens to be a Storm Cleric. So while everyone guards the way up, we'll call down Lightning Storm round after round, shredding their HP and their numbers. It's not a good video without a little bit of eye candy. This combat wasn't too crazy, though I have a feeling no matter what the transformations were, it would play out similarly. That's level 6, and the Drow Spirit inhabiting Priestess Gut's body makes an appearance. But he's gone now. It's Priestess Gut's time to shine. So let's grab our new spells and see what the dice have in store versus Malice Thorm. And in this case, the dice appear to have refrained from touching Malice altogether. His assistants, I can't say the same. And this also goes for his new hires. Now there are a couple minor problems to deal with, but when we roll good, we roll really good. Soon enough, we're able to corner Malice on the bottom floor with our damage dealers, while we distract his assistants on the rooftop with our tanks. With Malice like this, it really doesn't take him long to fall, and we secure ourselves one more boss win under our belts. Seemed easy enough, why not visit the last Thorm before continuing on with our quest? Okay, this one might prove a little more challenging than anticipated. I was here earlier, briefly, before I decided I should probably come back. We'll need some help. I channel all of my powers, calling to my tadpole for strength, which was a mistake. I lose control of my body to the dark-haired human from my visions, Lord Enver Gortash. Priestess Gut's revenge against the Absolute ends here. Now, Gortash, after killing his subordinate, wants the Netherstones for himself. And that means our first step is to kill Ketheric Thorm, after Garangoth of course, who has taken the form of Jahira alongside her allies Orin, a Chirai, and some old guy. I guess Orin caught wind of Gortash's plan and is taking action. Well, now that we're Gortash, what are some things we can do? Whoa, that's nice. Very, very nice. We beat up the old man first since he seems a little strong for my liking. This combat gets really scary. Any enemy can have any spell after all, and polymorph here would be a disaster, proven by Asterion. Unfortunately for him, all of his makeup is washed away, revealing his true self, a zombie. Originally I was taking my time with this combat thanks to Gortash's strength, though Garrothorm summons a coin halberd every turn to face us. And before any of them transform into death themselves, we should aim to win this combat as soon as possible. Karlach turned Flint and Fist Soldier tries her best to no avail, but Gortash comes down to help her just in the nick of time. With our combined strength, Gortash is able to tear a hole in space-time with just his fists, putting an end to one chaotic combat. The rift he opened has caused some permanent changes to our team. Gortash will be coming along with us for the foreseeable future, and Asterion is, well...
Hello. What can I do for you?
We'll be leaving Asterion in our camp, just like we did with Shadowheart. Time to make a replacement at Withers by once again getting a hireling. No need to do anything drastic, we'll just keep her a level 6 thief. Everyone say hello to Tank Dala. Yeah, it doesn't have the same ring to it. Let's stomp our way over to the ruins to kill our old friend Ketheric Thorm. For the ruins, we must overcome 3 different trials and multiple combats to get out alive. And with how numerous the enemies are, getting out alive might be a challenge. Especially when the game makes more of them each turn. And especially when I forget these guys have a Radiant Retort. Yeah, Randomizer usually takes the character as a base, so in this case the Dark Justiciars, and then randomizes on top of that, so we'll need to be more mindful. Though truly, he was meant to die anyways, since combat is getting rapidly out of hand. All our friends rapidly start falling one by one, leaving only Lord Enver Gortash. But really, he never needed friends, especially not Karlach. They were just tools to get this far. Especially Karlach. So let's just progress without them, starting off by finding Balthazar. Well, this is new. And these look fun. Say, I wonder if... Oh wow, that was one crazy dream, huh? Let's move on to those trials, shall we? The first trial can be trivialized with just a bit of invisibility, so let's focus on the same self trial, which involves fighting myself? You know, it's been so long I've forgotten my true self. A proud drow in reverence of the goddess of fortune Tymora. Not this rapidly destabilizing, now-Yankee shape-shifting monstrosity. After taking a good long look at myself and battling with my inner demons, I think it's about time we return to our Storm Cleric origins. We're back, baby. I regrouped with all my friends and finished the remaining trials. One of the last ones being a battle against Yrgir, who broke my game earlier, so here's hoping he doesn't do it again. The start of battle looks to be quite interesting. Yrgir himself has turned from colossal demon to annoying little invisible spider. Also, don't mind the giant fist of death placed in the middle of the arena. As we return to our original form, we still have some remnants of Gortash's power, letting us both summon these fists and these chains, Tyrant's Binding, to both limit their ability and deal tons of damage. Our foes scrambled to get away from the fist, and I do too, seeing as I left Zenith a little too close. Nothing Karlach can fix. Our foes, however, aren't as fortunate, dying off screen. Thanks, camera. Yrgir is still up, being an annoyance as always, and he's the last thread of everything left. I divert all of my resources to tracking him down. Karlach and Madala are down, but we're able to find Yrgir in the nick of time and wrap up this eventful combat. And among the wreckage of our post-combat arena lies a real treat. Our first legendary item, the Helm of Baldurin, which will find a permanent home on my head. Now that's every gem obtained, meaning we can finally head to the final chamber where this artifact is located. After taking the plunge and barely making our way out, I remember the fact that I never actually went to go see Balthazar for reasons, so let's make up for lost time.
Raise one finger to me, and I'd sunder you like lightning would a rotten oak.
Anyways, we raise our finger to him, causing him to summon his undead legions. They're composed of various things, though it seems Balthazar himself is taking up his true form as a zombie, and really just ruining our day with a turn 1 slow. Fortunately, our initiative is good, letting us act before the colorful variety of enemies. Here's one of my favorite spells, Spirit Guardians, giving us a ring of AoE damage that follows us. We're fortunate Balthazar himself was weak, and we can deal with him swiftly, though his undead still swarm this place in droves. Dealing with them is our specialty. Don't think that this will be easy from here though. Through a combination of unstable randomizations to just death, we lose even Karlach. We have our one saving grace, Call Lightning, a fantastic spell, since we can repeatedly cast it every turn. And thanks to the massive armor class we possess, we can maintain concentration with a relative ease. So in the end, despite our losses, combat shockingly went easier than expected. Though I know what's coming next. We free Aelin and prepare ourselves to fight Ketheric Thorm, and whatever random crap he has in store for us. And if we're going to fight them, we should probably get a couple levels first. Another annoying large combat, and what was that? Oh my gods. That's a big boy. Guess we're saving him for last. Once again, taking out all the lesser enemies first, since any one of them could have a 6th level spell of destruction. So as always, we're hoping to balance out the action economy. Though you can't forget that despite their appearances, they're still needle blights. All the wee blights fall without much fuss, but it's time to draw our attention to the dragon. Which I'm sorry to say, isn't an epic battle for the ages. This boy is so honkin', he's actually got himself stuck in the terrain. And despite reloading, he's unfortunately completely stuck. Finally. It's regrettable, but we have Karlach to put the poor guy down. Some more random crap for the road, and we actually managed to find something good. The Risky Ring, which is essentially a permanent reckless attack. We've got one on our rogue already, so Karlach can have a matching pair. I'm sure she'll enjoy the permanent recklessness. Now, we've got our levels and we've got our gear, so let's go get Ketheric Thorm. Jaheira and the Harpers stand at the ready to assault the fort. And firstly, before Ketheric, we're going to have to duel past Zarel and her horde of randomized enemies.
And for what?
This combat is bound to be the hardest so far, with enemies and allies hailing from all parts of the game. We'll want to immediately take out Zarel and the Mind Flayer. Their illithid powers will doom us as demonstrated by Zarel's black hole. She doesn't have any follow-ups fortunately, but anyone who has used a smoke powder barrel before is probably frothing at this sight. We escape and make as best a wall as we can, hoping to stall until our allies' turns. Regrettably, it's not enough and we have a new public enemy number 1. It's better than instant death, but Hunger of Hadar is an awful outcome in this situation. And I say that like it can't get any worse, but a teleporting polar bear decides to add some more spice to the situation, with an insect plague. Now we're taking 40-10 damage, 46 damage, and blindness. It's not exactly the most hospitable of choke points. Zarel, the fetid ooze, on top of her illithid abilities, has a counterspell, so she's the first to go. A lightning strike on the polar bear puts an end to the insect plague as well. It was at this moment that all of the enemies in combat broke for a turn. Unfortunately, the randomizer does this at times, and while reloading fixes it, it also sometimes re-randomizes. So everyone say hi to Corsair Grayman, our new cleric for the time. With everything back on track, I take out the Hunger of Hadar, allowing my reinforcements to start streaming in. They're not particularly powerful, but hey, they can tank damage, so whatever. It's quite timely too, since Jaheira manages to aggro the next room of enemies, giving us an already bigger headache to deal with. Corsair Grayman might have just gotten here, but his mettle is already being tested. I really want to kill the enemies, but if Grayman dies, I'll be stuck with him just like Astarion, so that's a number 1 priority. But of course, everything is slowed down by another Hunger of Hadar, and this one isn't giving up as easily as the first. Despite all of these setbacks, this combat has seen the worst of it. Now just to wrap up the last couple of enemies, and there we go.
There's a parasite in that corpse.
Oh crap. This is a really bad time for switching sides, guys. Well, at this point I really don't want to reset things, so I leave Karlach for dead before fleeing to bring everyone back, leveling and preparing for our final confrontation. Everyone mostly gets feats, but our Monk-Cleric hybrid finally gets his Monk subclass, giving him Way of the Open Hand. So now, what does Ketheric Thorm have in store for us? What you'd expect by this point. An ogre, some demons, and Ketheric himself is a floating halberd. We still have the Orphic Ring from earlier, and a confusion of this magnitude helps out a ton, letting that side of the arena devolve into chaos while we charge up the other. This time there are some more unstable randomizations, so before my computer explodes I send Karlach the dual coin halberd Ketheric. I trust she can take him out without dying. As for everyone else, getting Sustera out of the way early means less skeletal invokers and less chance of God himself descending to kill me. As a Storm Cleric at level 6, we get the ability to push enemies with our Thunder, which is handy with all this Hellfire around. Earlier, one of the enemies had thrown a flask of haste spores, and Karlach, now seeing an opening, cleaves her way through Kethric's hot dog, through the roaring Hellfire to get to the spores. Coin Halberd Ketheric, now an arm's length away, takes all 4 of Karlach's strikes, bringing him to his end. He transforms back and flees to safety, while we finish up here and give chase. Before we get to the climactic final battle, let's heal up and do one more massive combat. I still seem mostly undead, though something seems off. I typically like to hold the enemies at this choke at the doorway, though that only works when they don't have massive level 4 AoE spells. So, new plan. Run in with haste and reckless abandon. Fireball helps too. To be honest, this fight wasn't too interesting, apart from our reoccurring main antagonist, the Mystic Carrion. I swear, this guy only shows up when there's swaths of undead around. But with our combined force, we're able to put him and his cronies down before heading to our final battle. Inside are many familiar faces that we've seen throughout this campaign, including my own for a while. Now let's put them to rest, right Karlach? Wait, where's everyone else? Oh, for the love of gods. Anyways, let's get right into it. And the first thing I notice is my rogue has abandoned me. Looks like it's just gonna be the 3 of us. As always, I try to take out the Mind Flayer first since the AoE stun is a bit much to deal with. Apart from that though, there's not much of interest in stage 1, but stage 2 is where the real meat is. As funny as it would be to see it, unfortunately Merkel didn't transform into a massive cheese wheel or anything, but I suppose that'd be a poor ending. Instead, let's beat up the Lord of Bones the old-fashioned way. Every round, Merkel will summon a bunch of these skeletal invokers from earlier, and we'll send out our monk and cleric to deal with them. If left alone, they summon a skeleton which also gets randomized. I spawned them for a bit, but couldn't get anything funny to spawn, so let's instead show you the go-to way to kill an Apostle of Death. The first thing I would recommend doing is casting Darkness on him, since he'll be forced to just make one melee attack each turn. It'll blind us too, and by us I mean Karlach, so he won't get disadvantage, but on Karlach's turn she can move out, and with a Warhammer dipped in Oil of Sharpness, we can bypass Merkel's defenses slowly. Karlach can move out of reach of Merkel's aura to heal when she needs to, and thanks to Merkel's blindness, doesn't even provoke opportunity attacks. Wavelin will provide supporting fire with his Drought Darkness and other supporting spells from a distance. Zenith will be on damage control, dealing with as many skeletons as possible, and our rogue. With the party's combined efforts, Ketheric falls and this act of Randomizer has reached its climax. We pack our bags and head off to Act 3. Thankfully, nobody wants to kill me anymore. Be sure to tune in next time when things get unfair. Thank you for watching this far, and a special thanks to all my channel supporters. A lot of work goes into these, so every little bit helps. I hope to see you all next time.